What is it that makes faith great? Is it endurance? In other words, how much you trust God over a period of time, or how often you trust God? Is it the amount of information that we have about who we are trusting? In other words, is your faith great because you don't have much information but you trust Him anyway? Or is it how much you trust Him with? Like, well, I can trust Him with giving Him 5% of my income, but I can't trust Him enough to give Him 10% of my income, or something like that. Is it the humility and simplicity of the faith? You know, we're supposed to have childlike faith. Is it how close to the truth our faith is? In other words, are we trusting God based upon an idea of what He has presented, and our idea of that is more accurate than someone else's idea? Actually, I'm not sure. But I want to give you this story out of Luke chapter 7 and see if this will help us all in our journey to figure out exactly what it means to have great faith. Because in this story, Jesus said about the centurion, the main character of the story, I haven't seen great faith like this guy's faith anywhere else. He marveled at this man's faith. Luke chapter 7, verse 1 through 10 says this: Now when Jesus had ended all His sayings in the audience of the people, He entered into Capernaum. And a certain centurion's servant, who was dear unto him, was sick and ready to die. A centurion was in charge of supposedly 80 soldiers, 80 Roman soldiers. And this guy has a servant who is very dear unto him. That sounds strange in of itself. A servant, but he loves this servant very, very much. Verse 3 says, And when he heard of Jesus, he sent unto him the elders of the Jews. So many strange things here. When he heard of Jesus, he heard of Jesus, he sent the elders of the Jews. He's a Roman centurion. He's sending the elders of the Jews to Jesus. The elders of the Jews were not known for their, love for Jesus of Nazareth. Anyway, he sent them, beseeching him that he would come and heal his servant. Verse 4, And when they came to Jesus, these elders of the Jews, they besought him or begged him instantly, saying that he was worthy of whom he should do this. So they explained their mission, and they said, you got to help this centurion. He is worthy of a miracle. He's worthy of some help. You should help his servant. For he loves our nation. He's a Gentile centurion. He's a Roman centurion, but he loves our nation. And not only does he love our nation, he has built us a synagogue. No wonder they want to help this guy out. He built their church for him. And Jesus went with them. Verse 6, And when he was now not far from the house, he's almost at the location, the centurion sent friends to him, saying unto him, Lord, trouble not thyself, for I am not worthy that thou shouldest enter under my roof. Wherefore neither thought I myself worthy to come unto thee, but say a word. Actually, he says, but say in a word. He says, say in a word, and my servant shall be healed. Well, I admit that sounds like great faith right off the top there. Verse 8, For I also am a man set under authority, having under me soldiers. And I say unto one, Go, and he goes, and to another, Come, and he comes, and to my servant, Do this, and he does it. So he has his friends explain his perspective of trusting Christ. And he's like, I have authority over me. I have men under me. I understand your position. You are under the Father, and you have power to command that which is under you. So, boy, he does have a very accurate perspective on exactly who Jesus is and what Jesus can do. Verse 9, when Jesus heard these things, he marveled at him and turned him about. So he stops making progress toward the house. He stops his journey. He turns around and said unto the people that followed him, I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. This centurion's faith exceeds all that I have seen. Jesus is impressed with this guy's faith. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. Verse 10, And they that were sent returned to the house, and they found the servant whole that had been sick. It's interesting, by the way, Jesus didn't even say in a word. He actually did less than this guy expected. he just stopped going, and the faith of this guy was enough for Christ to give him his miracle. So 3 things that I take away from Luke chapter 7 here. First, I see what others said about this man. Others said, specifically the Jewish leaders, said this man is worthy of a miracle. That was their opinion of him. He is worthy. Then there is what that man thought about himself. He said right the opposite. I am not worthy for you to come into my house. I did not consider myself worthy to come talk to you. I sent the elders of the Jews. Then later he sent his friends. So everybody said, oh, this guy's worthy of your attention. He said, no, I'm not worthy at all. But what's most important in every case is what Jesus thinks, right? So the third thing is what Jesus thought of this man, and Jesus was impressed with his faith. And that's the question I have for you and for me. What kind of faith do we have? Do we have a faith that Jesus would marvel at? You know, there's another place in the New Testament where he marveled at people's unbelief. If Jesus is going to marvel at my heart, I want it to be because of my faith, not because of my doubts. So a short and simple application for you today. How is your faith? If God were to evaluate your faith, what would he say?